Email Marketing Podcast SEO. This is the Marketing Club, and you are now tuned into the We Don't Play podcast show where we talk about a lot of good things, great things, outstanding things, legendary things. And I'll say that again, legendary things that actually give you successful strategies to help you elevate your brand outside the business that you're operating, especially when you're thinking about your connections and you're thinking about the people that you're connecting with. These are the things that you have to see, you have to do, you have to learn, and at some point you're going to enjoy. So before you enjoy these things, you have to build, right? So that building is where we come into the play. We come into understanding how do you want to predict your content? How do you want to get the SEO success? Like, what is the major key goal here? Because it's not just about creating content, right? Content can be created, but if it's not created in a way that allows people to actually connect back with you, then these are opportunities that may not happen over time, all the time. And you want to make sure that as you're creating content for people, as you're building consistency, as you're building resilience, as you're learning the ropes, and as you're giving people, different stories, giving people different ideas, that you're able to show up online in a way that actually gives people dominance when they show up themselves. Because it's one thing to build content, it's one thing to build resilience, it's one thing to build patience, is one thing to build resilience. And all these things that we're building are because we are creating content, we are creating simplicity, we're creating tenacity. There are a lot of things that we have to look out for as businesses, because we have to think about the emails we're sending. We have to think about the way we're communicating. What are we even saying in our emails that would be beneficial to people who actually want to receive those emails. Because email marketing could be a really huge topic, podcasting could be a huge topic, SEO could be a huge topic. But all these three come together when you are creating a mission to intentionally build a bridge, build a connection, build an understanding, build a layer, and build a flow, right? When you send an email, you start sending emails to people and people start responding back to you, right? And then when they start responding back to you, it's a good way to also beef up your algorithm, beef up your business, beef up your domain. Because I'll say it like this: when you send an email and you don't respond back to emails, if that makes sense, if nobody responds back to emails, then that's something to check. Maybe you're not saying the right things, maybe you need to say more things or less things, and the things that you're saying also have to make sense to the audiences that are receiving it, because not everyone who is getting information is understanding it on the first go. So you also have to know how you're representing that information, how you're giving people value. What are the things that they have to look out for? What is the goal? What is the intention? What is the practice? What are the things that people can do to really get you to that position where you actually feel like, okay, yeah, this is something that we can actually look towards. This is something that we can actually point out. Because when you start looking at your business over time, you start realizing that the things that you start to do as a business give you the most responses. And when you also think about the most responses, you also think about the business and how you create content. So when you're sending out emails, when you're connecting with businesses, when you're building out systems, these are systems that are going to help your business grow. And in a matter of time, it's not just a matter of building. You want to build, 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 yes, but you want to build with tenacity. You want to build with intentionality. You want to build with specificity. You want to build with, commit. So those are things that we have to look out for. And I said, this would be a good time to come here and talk about it. So it's good to have you here. Welcome, John. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, is it? Glad to be here with you. Great topic. And by the way, look who popped in the room, Carrie.
Carrie, good morning. How are you?
Hey guys. Good morning.
Thanks for being here. I just had a quick flashback when we were all in Chicago. We were all sitting by the corner, three of us, just having a good time talking. It just took me there just a little bit. So it's so good to have you guys here. Thanks for joining and being here today. We can start off actually, letting more people know about us. So Carrie, you could go first, ladies first, and introduce yourself, let people know who you are, and then John, and then myself.
Sure. My name's Carrie Brett. I'm a professional photographer from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm the host of Shot at Love, a podcast that helps people learn how to rebuild their life after they lose love and gives you the tools to help you find love. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Carrie. John?
Yeah, my name's John, and we did have a good time in Chicago, didn't we? It was great. I started my journey in broadcasting in 1999, the predecessor to a podcast called Audio Blogs, and then went to night school for radio. Been a full-time radio guy up until about 3 months ago. But in 2017, I took what I learned from radio and created what was then called the Law Enforcement Today podcast because of a partnership with them. And a radio station upstate New York heard a version on Facebook, reached out to curate a radio version, which we did. I syndicated the first 14 stations that got first syndicated. Right now, we're syndicated by Talk Media Network. And we have 116 affiliate stations broadcasting weekly to about 44 million combined population. And the podcast has grown tremendously since February of last year. And email marketing is certainly part of it. Blog articles, other things are part of it as well. Really paying attention to SEO and podcast directories, as Favour loves to say, and I think I got it from him. Podcast directories is the number one place where people find your podcast, but they are search engines, and the same applies for them. So glad to be here. Looks like you're talking to a bunch of friends here.
It is. It is. I did a pop-up room today, so I think the algorithm is trying to understand what's going on. So I'll still ping a few more people here, but this is good. I'm sure, to just blow out at some point. So I really appreciate you for being here. Julie, good morning. We'd love to hear from you.
Great morning. It's all my friends, and I think this will be a throwback to John J. Wiley when he first met me. I'm on the treadmill right now, checking email, planning the menu, and talking on Clubhouse.
This is so good. I feel like this is like a special time right now for us. And then other people, jump in. And it's like, how Clubhouse used to be back then when you'd have rooms like this and it would be private. And then you open it up to everyone and then it goes public. It's Clubhouse has really changed over time. And, I think even the way people connect and people find things, it's interesting. When the room opens and you schedule a room, ahead of time, it also adds into the algorithm. If you do a pop-up room, does it really pop out in the hallway? So it's like a whole lot of questions I'm actually asking myself now that I, did this as a pop-up because I scheduled it for the same time and released and just started the room. So it's good to notice these things. So I appreciate you for all being here. Ruth, welcome. Ramon, welcome as well. So Julie, would love to introduce yourself. Just let people know who you are, and and then from there I'll do that too, and then we can get started.
I'm Julie Loken, and I am the crazy creative behind a lot of different things. I'm the CEO of Media Casters and of the annual event Creative Con, and I see a lot of my favorite people here. I love being at the pinnacle of my success, Carrie Brett, and I am so happy to be here. And that was kind of a joke. And I love emojis. I love talking about emojis. Hi, Marcella. Come on up.
Hey, Marshalla, good morning, welcome. Please feel free, Ruth as well. Feel free to welcome to the room. This is a great spot, and for those who are hearing me for the first time, my name is Favour Obasi-ike, and I am a creative an entrepreneur, a business owner at Work and Play Entertainment, and also a podcast host at WeDon'tPlayPodcast.com. And we are, by listeners, ranked at top 3% globally in the marketing category. And we have been doing this for about 5 years now. And this is something that has allowed us to connect with people across the globe and do business to help owners, business owners, specifically leaders, to make sure that they have their digital blueprint, with a good health check mark, because we also realize that businesses are not only suffering with overhead costs, but also suffering in creativity, because there's a lot of no management going on with website building, with management, with branding. And that's where we come in to make sure that you're relevant in the society, and your website also has that ability to be seen, in real time, because you have current and real time content that's happening, within the time spaces that we're in. So yeah, that's what we do, and we're able to help you. And that's why I even came to this room today to, start this off and just talk about these three important things, email marketing, podcast, and SEO. These three things go a very long way. And sometimes when you send out emails, those emails are really good pointers to allow people to also discover brands that you're talking to. Like this morning, I was, we signed up a client yesterday, and it just kicked off, and she was working with us before, and now she's working with us again because we're going into the holiday season, and she sells hoodies, she sells, really good material. And we were looking at it today, and I was doing some, competition analysis. Come to find out that a lot of people, if they think about hoodies, the first place people think about hoodies, or think about hoodies in general, brand wise, is Bape hoodies. So we were like, Bape hoodies. Okay. So we wanted to do a little digging, and then I found a little bit more gems in there and realized that other people are looking for, different types of hoodies. Are hoodies sweatshirts? What's the difference? So people are asking those questions because of the fabric, the material. So we're going like deep into the informational point. So email marketing is that space where we're like, okay, we need to educate your audience. You have X number of, customers or, subscribers. Yes, they're on your list, but do they all know the story? Do they all know the brand? Do they all understand the mission? Do they understand the objective? So that has to be repeated somehow in between, either as a podcast episode that you can resend back to them, or as something on a web page that allows people to get that justification, or as an email that you just, reiterate and let people know in between time, so that people also get to understand, especially if you're getting new subscribers on a weekly basis. Not everyone's getting to know your business right there. So it's also something to consider when you're also connecting. So we looked at the client and we said, okay, if we're going to talk about hoodies, then let's really focus on these specific questions. So she now told me, I didn't even know this. This was actually interesting to me because I love to hear your thoughts on this too. I got to know, and she said that hoodies in originally came, they were designed in New York for warehouse workers because they had to cover up. So that was supposed to be a thing, initially. So, they would wear it, and then eventually it became a fashion trend, and then everyone started wearing hoodies. Has anyone ever heard that story before?
No, that's news to me, but it makes sense.
That's super cool. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's something I didn't even, I was like, what? Yeah. So when she started with that, and I said, okay, all right. So now we know where we're going to. So it was like education first. If we educate the audience, let them know what they're wearing, let them know, because she also has, what is this called? I wrote it down. Yeah, she has mixed polyester and cotton, and then she has 100% cotton. So, and of course, 100% cotton is going to cost a little more than the mixed polyester and cotton. So also determining, are you going to pay more for comfortability, convenience? Are you going to pay less for just, speed? So those are things that we're going to be looking at. Why I'm bringing this up is because we're going to be doing, you know, email marketing for them, building out their list, just making sure that their list is strong. They have a really good list. They're making the sales, they have no problem with their sales. It's just that she feels like when you hit a status quo or you hit a brick wall, there's a way you can actually hit that ceiling and surpass the ceiling. So that's what we're trying to do now. And we realized, I did some deep insight search and I was like, which state in the US? And that's how I got to know about New York, because I was just doing random, I would just do SEO, I do research, I'll find something out, I'll attach it to something, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense. So that's how I found out that New York is the number one state in the US that sell hoodies, or that just appreciate hoodies in the US. There are other states as well, but New York was number one. And then when I said that, she was like, oh yeah, that's true, because I was like, what? So that's when I knew, okay, now we're going somewhere, because we looked at a 5-year timeline from 2000 to 2024. Yeah, so from 2019 to 2024, we were looking at the data to see what's going on. And right now, September, October, November, December, and January are the prime time for hoodie selling. So because of the weather. So now we know, okay, where in New York are people looking for that? So we found the exact locations, so I can look at the area codes. So it now makes it easier for us to target, connections. Yesterday, I launched a campaign, a digital billboard, for an aesthetic company in New Orleans, and they deal with they have something about the lip. They have they're promoting something with lip fillers. They do things like Botox. They do, like, it's non-surgical medical. She has a non-surgical medical spa, so she's able to do all those things, and it's really good. I love her business. So we rebuilt her website. It's called Cure Aesthetics. So we are now running an ad on 2 billboards on the highway that attract a total of about 51,000 people in a 31-day cycle between the hours of, let me see, I had the screenshot, one second, because there was a lot going on yesterday with the research. Okay. Let me see one. Yeah, I found it. So we had a 5-hour slot. So from between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., and then between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And in between those hour slots, there's going to be an 8-second slot. So for every 8 seconds, the digital billboard is going to reset. It's going to have another picture. So between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., and you use 8 seconds in between each sequence, that's the number of times we're going to be able to get, people's attention. So we can see the name, they'll see Cure Aesthetics, they can take a screenshot, there's a QR code. That QR code will now take them to the email list so they can subscribe, because those 2 highways are leading towards her store, her office, and another one is leading away from the office. Welcome, Anisha and Jazz and Trisha. So all those pointers are getting closer and closer and closer and closer to that person. So if we're reaching to 51,000 people, and I even showed her the street view, I said, this is the longitude, this is the latitudes, this is exactly the location. And does this look familiar? So she's like, yeah, and there's a lot of water. I didn't even know that. For me, I learned, for my clients, I learned so much. I'm actually excited about that, because I learned so much about them. I learn about their business, about their country, about their state, about, different things. Even though I'm doing SEO, I'm also learning in the process. So it's fun for me. And it's also very refreshing and humbling too. So she was telling me that, oh yeah, in New Orleans, there's always a lot of water beds and there's a lot of water on the side. So I said, this is the signpost. This is going to be the billboard, and she can drive there. So she'll know that it's there. I'm giving you all this scenario so that you can also see that when you position yourself in a place where people are looking for your content and they see it, it's going to value so much, because when you're on a billboard, people are like, oh my goodness, how did you get on the billboard? That already is like, wow. So the wow enough is enough for you to just psychologically reframe what you think about the brand. Right? When you see your favorite artist on a billboard, on a banner, on a poster, on a flyer, on a sticker, on a post, you actually see, oh, it's on the road. Oh, wow, I can see this artist is coming. So it actually elevates. You want to go listen to the music. You want to go know what they're doing. You want to Google them. Like, it just becomes a whole thing. So you're not looking for sales. You're looking for attention, but you're looking for attractive attention that actually is attracting you to your business. So same thing with podcasts. If you know your top podcasts, put it in the billboards, let people know, hey, find us on this, on that. And then you know that these are the people that are connecting with you that already hear your podcast. So because you have your audience list, you know where your audiences are, you know where they drive, you know what they do. Then you show up online, you show up in person, literally seeing, looking up, and they can see your face or see your podcast. It's a great way to push. So we're testing this out, digital billboards, for this next quarter, and I'm so excited about it because with email marketing, yes, make your sales and everything, but not everyone knows about you in your email list. Somebody just joined your email list yesterday. They don't know about your business. So you have to think about the people and also think of them like they're thinking of you. Like if you can put yourself in their shoes, then it'll be easier for you to connect the dots. So those are some things that I've been able to notice. So we'd love to hear from you, John, Kerry, or Julie. What are your thoughts on email marketing podcasts and SEO?
Well, a couple things, and I just did some quick looks. So since February 1st of last year, we've gotten 2.5 million downloads plus the podcast. In its entirety is 3.3 million. So what has really changed since February 1st? And I'm sorry I don't have the direct information in front of me. I've really put more of a focus on email marketing, although I need to step up my efforts on that a lot more and become more consistent. But I really put a focus on SEO for search engine optimization, finding your episodes, in particular, finding your episodes in podcast directory searches, social media, and also writing something that Julie and I talk about a lot, writing articles in Newsbreak and Medium and blog articles, all which combined and some other marketing efforts I do really increases it. So what percentage of it comes from what I can't say, but we look at everything since February 1st has been tremendous growth.
Oh, that's amazing. I think the fact that you even applied the SEO piece with your LinkedIn, with Newsbreak, all those things are coming back to your website. It's all because you have a domain, you have a property domain, you have a position that you can always send people to. Because imagine if you're doing this as well, but there's no website to point them at, or there's no traffic to, connect them to, or any email that allows them to go back to your website, then it would be a big opportunity that will be
Yeah.
missed.
And here's the funny thing. So before, for many, I'd say probably since mid 2022, I was relying solely on my partner's website. We've since split up, and also my Omni Studio hosting page. When I got my own website from Podpage, that's when things really started to explode. So now Google, for lack of better words, has two places to search, and I can do different show notes on each one. So if you have a podcast on your website and your podcast is not hooked up to it, you're doing yourself a big disservice because you're not getting the backlinks. And make sure you put backlinks in all your show notes to your website. And of course, same with Newsbreak and Medium. Those things really, and Julie and I talked the other day, I looked at Uber Suggest and did a crawl on my domain authority for my site. And right now, the domain authority is 23. I wanted to get up in the 80s. It's really hard to do. But the backlinks are probably was it 1,300 and change. So I need to keep on working on it and put out stuff every day.
And I love that, John. Getting to that number is big. To get to a domain authority of 23 is a huge thing. Like I would say, like, since you're like, if you look at your podcast at that top percentage, it's the same thing with with your website, because most websites don't get to that 20, 30. Like when you start hitting 20, 30, 40, 50 going up, at 10 is fine, but it's still a lift off. But when you hit 20 and up with your domain authority, it also shows that you have a lot of attention, you have a lot of authority. Because even the backlinks you get, not all backlinks have authority, either. So the ones that you already have that do have authority and that contributes to the larger percentage of your total backlinks, then you get more positioning, you get more recognition, like you have on Apple, on YouTube, on Spotify, on Newsbreak, on LinkedIn. Those are great sources. iHeart, Pandora, all these platforms, because you have a podcast. allows you to stretch it even further beyond your website, because your website is just one unit. If you look at the websites, there's just one unit. But if you look at your website as a unit and then you diversify it by distributing your networks to other units that you don't own, then you're actually compounding your interest. That's why when you submit your RSS feed with your podcast, you're submitting it with your website attached, because in that RSS feed has a contact card, and that card has your information, and that information includes your website. So if your website is included into that packaging, then it also gives you more accuracy over time. And then if with just a matter of time, the more episodes you have, the more backlinks you get, the more show notes that you put your website backlinking to, then it helps. If somebody features you on a podcast and doesn't mention your name in the title or even attributes you in the show notes, then you miss a whole opportunity, because somebody can search for your name or search for something you do, and then your name shows up. But if your name doesn't show up and the thing you do doesn't show up, then it means you didn't really connect the dots with your website and social media. And most people kind of miss that. But I'm glad that we're learning today, and it's something that you can do, and it's been done and it's working. So it's something to really look out for. So thank you so much for that, John. Iman, thanks for being here. We'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts on today's topic?
Sticky mics as ever. Hello, everyone. Actually, I was listening and very interested with the notes that Uncle John was saying, because email marketing is it's something very technical, and we were previously speaking about email marketing, and there's another aspect for email marketing, and I would like to um, speak about it today, because um, a lot of my clients, especially, ask me if email marketing worth it, and why email marketing worth it. Uh, because a lot of audience doesn't open their email. If you're, and maybe Julie can speak to us about this topic. If you're sending more than the average, and or less than the average, you are not doing great. You are not using or utilizing your email marketing budget, because here's the kick: more than two mails um, a week is too much for me. So I want to know what you think about how frequent the frequency of sending the mails, and how much of a email marketing is too much, and how much is enough or less than. This is something that I'm researching now. Currently, 60% of the research sample for me is too much. Two meals a week. That's the maximum. So what do you guys think? Back to Favour.
Thank you, Iman. Great question. Great question on that. Uh it's a very tricky one to answer, because if you think about your emails are your, I would say the email is a mouthpiece, right? Because the email is telling you a story or telling you things that will give you context to what you're doing. So let's say you've been writing posts once a day, you've been writing content, you've been posting on social media, you're connecting. Those are things that you can do. But when you use email marketing to communicate instead of to sell, then it changes the narrative so that someone doesn't feel like they can unsubscribe really fast. Like, so you can send an email every day. One great example of somebody who does that is Seth Godin. He does that every day. He sends one email a day because he writes one article a day. It can be one letter, it could be one post, one paragraph. He sends it out because that boosts signals. So if you do that every day, then it's great. Someone may say, "Wow, I'm not going to do that every day." Cool, that's totally fine. That may not be for your audience. That may be too much, right? Two a day, two a week is great. And you can do that at at a capacity. You can spread it out throughout the week. You can make it in between the week. Some people can do one weekday, one weekend. It's up to you. For me, I noticed Sundays are one of the best days to send emails, surprisingly. And if you send an email on a Sunday, you can really get good sales. You can get good attention. You can get good open rates, good click rates. People have time to read your emails. They're not busy. So you can use Sundays as a great way to test new things. So that's something I've noticed, just across the board. So it's really up to you to decide how you do it. And if you're doing it, you have to think about what you're telling them. Sometimes one may be community news, another one could be product news, another one could be business news, another one could be another type of news. So it could change over time, but you don't have to say everything at the same time. You can spread it out. There's so many things I want to announce, but I can't announce everything, because that would just be too much for them to take in, because they've not even finished reading the interview that you just told them about, and now you're telling them about a video interview so it's just going to be so overwhelming. But if they're super fans, great. And how you can know they're super fans is by segmenting. That's where the frequency comes in, because if you're able to send Monday through Friday emails, you can say Monday I'm sending to everybody, Tuesday I'm sending to people who like hoodies, Wednesday, I'm sending to people who like shoes. Thursday, I'm sending to people who like this. So it won't feel like you're bombarding the world with your messages, right? Because it's very segmented. And Flowdesk does this so well because they call it magic links. So if I know that because you want to learn about, let's say I have a podcast, a YouTube, and let's say an article, and I have those three links in my email. And I segment each of those three and say, if anyone clicks on any of these three, segment them into this bucket. So when I do that, I know, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can know what to do. And if I've sent the email to everyone, I know out of 10,000 people on the list, and we have 2% of the people or 20% of the people that want to learn more about this, because within a 24 to 48-hour cycle, they'll be going back into their inbox to checking what they probably missed out on and click your link again. So that clicking is an activity that sends you a signal to say that they are interested. They may not say, yes, sign me up now, or yes, I'm ready to buy, or like, hey, look at me, I'm over here. They won't really tell you that. So you need to say it in a way that makes them feel like, okay, you're actually connecting with them instead of bombarding them. So that's how I would do it. I wouldn't send an email every day, but if I send an email any day, then it has to match the segment that I'm creating the attention for that day. Does that help?
Absolutely. And there is another point I want to add. Adding to your point, it depends on the content. It depends on if you're selling or if you are just sending community news or something. One of the best uh, click and opening rate that I ever seen is the AI news, the AI tools, the new AI tools. Those newsletters are it reached to I remember 89%, 89% opening rate. So and this strategy of sending only one um, each they are sending this client especially is sending every day, but they were sending the newsletter with multiple AI tools, new AI tools, and we changed the strategy to one a day to only focus on one tool a day, and it is still highly opened mail. So I think it depends on the interest and how you segment your audience as well. Thank you so much, Favor. Back to you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. Appreciate you for that. John, how do you segment your emails and, connect with them? And then we'd also love to hear from you too, Carrie.
Well, what I do is very simple. I set up, like I have consumers of my radio show and podcast on one list, and I have them segmented into opt-ins, and they go through what I call the drip process. That's my website. Then I migrate them over to the main list once they've done that. And then I have one for Radio decision makers, it's a separate list. That's my largest one. That's how I communicate new episodes of my show to get new stations. And then I have ones for advertisers and past advertisers, to let them know about specials. So the one I do the most is the consumers on my show. And in theory, I'm supposed to do that twice a week. Sometimes I only do it about once every 2 weeks. I have to get better about that. So I don't do a lot of segmenting. I really look at the opens and the clicks. But since the list is small, I don't do a lot of segmenting. On LinkedIn, which you talked about yesterday, that is a larger list of consumers. I mail that one twice a week. That's free. And it's a free LinkedIn one. And once you have 150 followers, they'll do all the invites. They'll do everything. You just got to set it up. And it's a great way to get right to their inbox. And lastly, with Facebook, when you get 10,000 followers on a business page, they enable what they call broadcast channels. It's also been available on Instagram for a while, where you can send messages directly to their messenger about new episodes of the show. So I treat that as an email newsletter as well. But with those two, with LinkedIn and Facebook, you can't segment it because it's their data.
I love that. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great place, especially with newsletters, because I noticed newsletters on LinkedIn get seen on Google when someone types in a keyword that matches the title of your not your show, sorry, your newsletter. And if you also change the URL, or at least make sure to customize the URL for the newsletter on LinkedIn, that also boosts the signal too. So you're doing like a double, I call it a double W, because it's a win-win on both ends, both for the consumer and also for the algorithm. So imagine your podcast, and so that's what I'm about to start doing. I tested it out for my show, and I was like, there you are. Because on Google, if someone types your show and all your newsletters start off with your podcast title, the name of your show, the podcast, like for me, We Don't Play Podcast, then da 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 da, whatever it is that you're creating. Now you're creating branded keywords with non-branded keywords, and then that creates content and contextual information that also gives you that, long-term effect. So it's so impressive to see that. Thanks again, John, for being here. Just wanted to highlight that. So it's very important to look at how you use LinkedIn, and then use that. If you have a podcast, perfect, because that can easily get your attention. Because if you have the name of your podcast on your LinkedIn article, your LinkedIn newsletter as the actual title, then put a full colon. Then after that, put in whatever you want to put, the title of the show, or maybe create a sub context, or maybe create something that's going to let someone know about the name of the show. However you want to do it, the name of the person that you're featuring, even if it's your name, if you want to put it or even go that way, you can do that. And then that will also elevate the opportunity for you to get seen, to get heard, and to get recognized as well. Kerry, how do you segment your list?
Oh my God, I'm doing so bad, Favor. I mean, the plus of my business right now is I'm in my busy season. So the more jobs I shoot, the more jobs I get because I'm out in front of people. And so it's like that digital billboard that you're speaking about. I'm connecting and giving my clients really good images that creates an emotional attachment to. I'm focusing on treating my clients so well and delivering things fast, and school just started, so getting people in with their schedule. So I'm doing a lot of like grassroots, old school things that made my small business successful. It would be helpful if I had enough time to then, post those images and have like that whole machine working behind. It would be that much better. So I'm just trying to figure it all out, and like always, but I am a one man band, so those are the challenges that I face.
Carrie, I think we probably need to talk so that we can make sure that, like, at least you can have less on your hands so that you can have more time to get more word out there, and also be more flexible, especially when you're thinking about getting people onto your list and then getting that awareness, especially for you and your show. I'm just seeing, like, this is something I can see in my mind, and if I can see it in my mind, it can definitely happen in real life, and that's for all of us too. I can see your shot at love as a billboard, and I can see people that in your top city, just based on research, the one that actually has the most attention, have that within a billboard and let people see that across, the holiday season, let people see that. And then that way, that also creates attention. And that in turn allows people to now go to your website where they can now search, directly, organically. And you've already positioned yourself to now receive their information as first party data. Now you can collect their email addresses, they can opt in, they can subscribe to your show. And then you can now start segmenting along the list to finding out what they want to do. Are we going to do cities? Are we going to do tours? Like in 2025, are we going to do Shout Out Love tour? Where are we going to go? San Francisco, Miami, Phoenix? Like I'm just seeing those kind of things so that by the time you're putting ads in those areas and you're attracting connections there, you're meeting with people who are actually locals, then it actually even elevates the brand. And then your email marketing just flies off the roof. So that's what I'm seeing in my mind. And we'd love to even kind of show you a little bit more what I'm seeing visually. But that's when you said that, that just popped up in my mind.
No, I mean, it's like stay in your lane, right? So you have an expertise and you're really good at all those things. I'm not, but I can go when you were talking about your friend who, or your new client who had all those organic lip fillers and all that stuff. I mean, I could do all the images that would just blow her away because that's my lane. I'm really good at connecting with people and helping them remove their blocks, which is what my show is about. So I just have to get in front of people, and I have the same gifts as you in a sense where it's like you can see their weak spots and they just need to change one thing and they can just blow up their business. So I was saying, oh my gosh, I should definitely just hire you. um and I think that's what we'll do. As my brand gets bigger. So yeah, sounds good, Favor.
Yeah, Carrie. As you're even speaking, I was thinking too, like along the lines of, letting people know, hey, do you really need good photos? Contact me, contact Carrie, because people can say, yeah, good photos, you can get them anywhere. But when they now see your website, they see your portfolio, they're like, okay, who's Carrie? And then that just builds the brand. So they know you before they even know what you do, and then they'll know what you do in the process of knowing you. So I can see that already. So yeah, definitely would love to connect. Please feel free to click the link above, or send me just send me a voice message or Instagram and or LinkedIn as well. That's also an option too. And then you can send me your contact and definitely will connect as well. Iman, thanks for being here. I just saw the pop up. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. We close in 2 minutes because I also have a meeting to catch up and get into. But I wanted to at least spend the morning here with you and just show you all these things that you can do for your business. SEO is not hard, it just takes time. But at the same time, you need to also do things consistently, know what the seasons are. When September, a new season for something new is happening. So you have to think about where you are and what you can do. If you have a podcast as a guest or as a host, now is the time for you to elevate and translate your brand from just being on Instagram or TikTok to actually being something that people can find on Google, on YouTube, on Pinterest. And then before you know it, your brand becomes the attention grabber. And then people start connecting with you and start working with you. It's about helping people, letting them see past what they're seeing so that when you now connect with them and you work with their teams, it gets better. So that's what we do. So if anyone's in the room, please feel free. Carrie, Sarah, Steven, Ruth, Jazz, and Pesman, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you and thanks for the time that you're spending with me. Feel free to listen to the replay if you missed out on anything. And I'll be back here again tomorrow, God willing. And I'll definitely do a room so we can talk about it in the morning. And I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Have a wonderful Wednesday.